Shall we bring in Matt Odell? I got to figure out how to do that. Hope he's ready. Let me text him. Let me make sure he's ready. No one wants to admit a man that isn't ready. What if he's taking a piss or something? You don't want to do that. So let me shoot him a text and say, hello, Matt. Are you ready? Going to admit you in. The chat is ready. You guys got some energy today, chat. You guys got some energy today. While we're waiting for a response from Sir Matthew, a reminder, he's ready. You guys can write your questions in the chat. Oh, I gotta post this on Noster. What am I doing? You guys post your questions in this chat. We'll collect them and we'll get through them before the end of the episode. Easy, like we always do. And I heard your feedback loud and clear. I think these episodes were getting a little bit repetitive. Why? On the macro, I agree with you. What do you make of all the nation state stuff? The Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. You've got the Bitcoin Magazine folks who, by the way, there's been a Money Matters podcast once where someone clipped a clip of me and sent it all through their internal Slack communications. And it was like, fuck Jack, or he said this at the conference. Listen, it's been a hell of a year. I already told Bitcoin Magazine, wow, I love the Bitcoin Magazine team. If I could kiss you guys, I would. I love you so much. So I love you guys. But there's always tweeting from all the media of like, oh, I know this nation state or this Hong Kong or this Russia. So it's hard to decipher, especially for the public that aren't having conversations with reliable sources of what's going on, who's buying Bitcoin, is someone stacking, someone was supposed to announce something last week or the week before or next week. What do you make of it, Mr. Matt Odell? I think self-interest prevails for sure.
I mean, there's
by safety too, by the way.
What did you say, Dan?
I think it's one of the greatest Bitcoin quotes that I don't hear enough is that safety quote.
Yeah, that's a solid one. I mean,
it's a good one.
I mean, that's why I'm so optimistic about Bitcoin, right? Just because it's based in self-interest. It's not based in benevolence, right? It's not like so many of our institutions operate under this assumption that everyone will act in everyone else's best interest, which is just an assumption that just completely breaks down and usually ends in corruption. But if you operate under the assumption that everyone will act greedy and act in self-interest, even if they don't, even if they act benevolent, the system still works. And if they act greedy, the system works fantastic as well, right? It's a built-in assumption.
And the thing, I've been trying to articulate this on various different podcasts I've been on, is I've been calling it a reversion to the means, a reversion to what's real, a reversion of physical reality, where humanity works best when it's governed by the immutable laws, them not even in the same conversation. So eventually, does MicroStrategy get big enough where these guys' self-interest outweighs their philosophical or intellectual or political views? Yeah, that's why I love that safety quote. The way I kind of use that quote to assess where the world is today is their philosophical, political views or their CFO's risk tolerance or whatever is currently outweighing and outcompeting their own self-interest. But eventually that won't be the case. And I don't know. I mean, MicroStrategy to me sounds undervalued. Their forward projected 2025 earnings, like basically earnings, shareholder value per share is $9 billion short of Meta Platforms, which is a $1.6 trillion company, but Saylor's worth $100 billion. That sounds like Saylor should be worth at least 1.2 trillion, 1.3 trillion. And also, how are you factoring in the growth? I mean, let's see, fee homes, right? They've got a Manhattan apartment, a Chicago house, and 2 LA homes, a house in Napa Valley, and a house in Italy. You know, the reality is you're going to sell all your houses for Bitcoin and only keep the houses you actually use, right? You're going to sell all the equity that you just use for a store value. You're going to keep the equity of the companies you actually care about. So that's what's happening. Saylor has unlimited amount of upside here. This is just getting started. How much of this wealth transfer is going to go on through MicroStrategy? I have no idea, to be honest with you. Does the bond market need MicroStrategy to do this? Probably not forever, but they are right now. But I love this graphic, worth illustrating. And Bitcoin's going to demonetize all the stuff you own that you don't consume, if that makes sense, right? Like I consume this house, that's why I own it. But I would never own a house that I don't actually use because currency debasement in the world around them, and we live in a world of monetizing debt. So what do? They become an accountant. They become some professional job that hopefully pays down debt over time. And maybe if they're lucky, they'll find the time and energy and space to pursue their artistic craft and their true passions. But the reality is, if you get up, you work a 9 to 5, and after you get off work, you have to go on Robinhood. You have to master the options market. You have to understand Japanese central bank monetary policy. Then you have to fall in love, find a way to reproduce, find a way to finance how you can reproduce, find a way to finance a healthy life, not to be obese. The reality is you've seen a tremendous decrease in artistic pursuits. And I think that's why when people say, well, why is the architecture in buildings not as cool as they were when I go through and travel through Rome? Well, because I think we've lost a lot of our artistic groundings and pursuits. Like buildings look boring. Like engineering quality sucks. Teacher curriculum has declined because everyone is trying to keep afloat and has lost me to be living my dream life on Bitcoin, and that's being able to get a loan. So you guys can put 2 and 2 together. Is Strike working on that? Do we plan on coming out with a product like that? I want it. So if I want it, you're probably going to get it. You guys can speculate from there.
Let's make it happen.
Yeah, I mean, the dream is this, chat. Here's the dream. The dream is I get my paycheck 100% converted into Bitcoin. I then use that Bitcoin to get a loan in dollars so that I'm using the dollars that I'm lent to pay my bills, and I'm never having to sell the Bitcoin. And then every single paycheck that comes in, Strike is able to take a portion of my paycheck and allocate it towards the outstanding loan that I have. And then it's able to take the rest of the paycheck and convert it into Bitcoin. So I'm constantly rolling a loan that I have with Strike that's taking piece of my paycheck and making sure that the loan is consistently getting paid down and is in good standing. And then the rest of my paycheck is going towards Bitcoin. And then that would come into Bitcoin. And altcoins are a waste of time and a suck on human ingenuity. Okay. Want to do Q&A, Matt?
Yeah, let's rip it.
I usually end the show at 7. You're on Central Time, yeah? No docs, no docs. Okay. So
I'm
I usually end the show in like 20 minutes. So let's do some Q&A. Okay, chat. Listen, here's the deal. You guys put questions in the chat. We collect them and we put them on a document here to my left. So I see about 10 to 15. Makes me feel like you guys have either repeated questions, maybe we missed some, but in any event, if you guys have questions, please drop them in the chat. We'll collect them. We'll answer them for the next 20 minutes. We'll just do live Q&A. If you haven't already, like the episode. This is so much fun. This is crazy, man. 630 live viewers. We've been strong for this whole episode. Appreciate the love. Okay. First question. Come on, give me a break. And this does not look like, if you want to move a $2 trillion asset, I know we're not gold yet, but we're as big as Amazon, Google. You know, do you think Odd Lot Retail would move those things on the weekend? No. You got to have muscle to move this thing. And especially on a Sunday night like that. And it's not just a one-off, because I would agree with you, Matt, if it was like, one leverage liquidation on an exchange that pushed it on a Sunday night. But weekend activity has been fairly consistent. If you guys remember, like the first thrust to and over 100K were also on US nighttime. It's either US nighttime or weekends. That is US banking hours closed. That is someone who's probably wired a ton of money to an order execution, and that's being averaged in, and also known as penis daughter. Kidding, joke. If you know, you know. He announced Texas, Kid Show. They said they wanted to get Bitcoin through taxes, but had no setup to collect it correctly. Can Strike help? Sure. We take customers, whether it's businesses or individuals, to use Bitcoin in a variety of ways. So yeah, absolutely, we can help. What do you think Larry Fink means when he talks about Bitcoin's quote industrial use case end quote?
I don't know. What does he mean by that?
I don't know either. I have heard, I don't know, I haven't heard Larry Fink say that, so I don't know what that's in reference to, but I will say I've heard Larry Fink say things like tokenized real world assets, the future of the world's blockchain. I think he walks a fine line of rhetoric that has been social